7 favorite cities in no particular order as of 2020. Number 1, Malaga. Number 2, Bangkok. Number 3, Kraków. Number 4, Las Palmas. Number 5, Chiang Mai. Number 6, Oxford. Number 7, although it's not really a city, Koh Tao. I left home about 10 years ago now. And since then, roughly once a year, I changed my location and I lived somewhere else. And since about 2 years ago, I've been traveling on a more of a regular basis, just about every week being in a different part of the world. Sometimes even up to each day, I was in a different place, different city, different town, somewhere else. Obviously, since February 2020, I was unable to continue the journey due to some Chinese bat that prevented us all from traveling. But nonetheless, in the past, I managed to visit a few places. I don't claim that it's a lot, because I frankly can see that I still got plenty to see and plenty to visit. I haven't really been to Africa much. I haven't been to Americas at all. But out of the places that I happen to visit, these are my 7 favorites. Why? The first position on my list is obviously going to be a place that actually is a little bit closer to my heart, and that naturally is Malaga! Frankly, I absolutely love that city. I've lived there for about a year, a number of years ago, and I always enjoy coming back to that city. I loved living there. I still have plenty of friends that live there, both Spanish and non-Spanish, international. It may not be a digital nomad hub per se, but it is still a very, very multicultural and live city with plenty of people and plenty of things to do and loads of cultural activities. Obviously, it's located in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, and it's the largest city in its province, in its region. It's the capital of the province of Malaga. I fell in love with Malaga particularly because it was extremely affordable when I moved there. I still think it is very, very cheap when compared to other places, even in Spain, frankly. It's got an incredible cuisine, loads of lovely restaurants, delicious food. The people of the south are absolutely amazing and friendly. They have a very, very difficult accent to understand, so if you're hoping to learn some Spanish...
Es que... Y después de venirte a la chime, tú no coges remelo para tu puerta medio y no dejas de hablarte con él nada más que por los chimes que puedan salir, tía.
I may not recommend you to start by going to Malaga or anywhere in the south of Spain, but nonetheless, as a city, it's absolutely wonderful. It's a great mixture of kind of urban, architecture and landscape mixed with quite a lot of kind of natural green areas and recreational areas. You've got plenty of beaches accessible just a walking distance from the city center if you happen to live nearby. And also there's plenty of like little rolling hills and parks that you can go and visit. And I absolutely loved going for runs in one of the hills that happened to be near to where I lived. And then in the afternoon be able to go to the beach, go to the city in the evening and, enjoy a few tapas and cañas with all of my mates. Absolutely love Malaga. It isn't as well known as a digital nomad destination, I think. There was quite a lot of people who worked remotely or, were international at the time I lived in Malaga. But still, when compared to maybe some other places, especially on this list, such as Chiang Mai or Las Palmas, or God knows what else, Bali. Yeah, Malaga doesn't really stand out as a digital nomad hub. But I think if you're ever considering visiting Spain, do give it a shot. It's absolutely incredible. If I'd ever have to choose a place I have to settle down in, right now my choice would be Malaga! Seriously. Number 2 is Bangkok, capital of Thailand, obviously. It's also the first place I visited in Asia, just about a year and a half ago from now. And at first it's overwhelming. It is difficult to locate yourself in that city. The public transport maybe isn't the greatest, which is why the moment that we arrived from Europe on our first trip to Asia and tried to enjoy the city, we were completely lost and overwhelmed by this jungle of concrete that just welcomed us, and finding our way to our hotel was an absolute nightmare. But with time, I grown to love Bangkok a lot. Even more so, I eventually got to make a whole video about why I think Bangkok is really cool. It's very surprising that a lot of people do not recommend staying in Bangkok for too long. Just before going there, a number of people recommended us to avoid Bangkok or leave Bangkok as soon as we could. And whilst I can maybe see where these people were coming from, I cannot disagree more. It's an incredible, enormous metropolis. It is so big. It's mind-blowingly large. In general, Asian capitals are just so big. Most of them are at least. But I feel that Bangkok has a lot of potential that a lot of people will just skip over when they come for holidays, and all they want to do is to bugger off to some islands and just chill on the beach. It's got plenty of culture, plenty of beautiful monuments to visit, so much history and just so much cool vibe that whenever I'm in Bangkok, I would love to stay even longer. It also is very, very cheap for being such a big capital. You can easily find very luxurious condos to live in for next to nothing. Not to mention that Thai food is absolutely delicious. And in Bangkok, you will have a shit ton of restaurants, of street food stands. Just about anywhere you'll go, you'll find a man, with a street food stand serving you some hot soup or, chicken skewers or whatnot. It's a beautiful city to live in with plenty of amazing places to both work in and enjoy yourself in. And I absolutely love staying in Bangkok. Whenever. I'm really glad that most flights go through Bangkok, because that means that almost always when traveling around Southeast Asia, you just have to go to Bangkok. Well, stay there, enjoy the city. Bangkok. Krakow. I haven't actually lived in Krakow for too long. Only spent about a month and a half there, plus some additional visits here and there. And I would be lying if I didn't say that the number one reason for staying in just about any Polish city is because Polish food is so fucking good. In Krakow, there's just plenty of delicious restaurants. We stayed fairly close to the city center where we could enjoy a lot of homemade, proper Polish cuisine. Anything ranging from, so-called milky bars where you can enjoy very, very, very good food for very low prices, or more sort of proper restaurants where they charge you a bit more of a premium for food that just looks a little bit nicer but tastes just as good, I would say. So yeah, living in Krakow involves also seeing a lot of culture, obviously. It is an old Polish capital. It has been moved actually, I think, a number of times. So being able to experience all that was absolutely incredible. Also, it felt really well prepared for working there. There's tons and tons of coffee shops, different bars, restaurants you can go to and enjoy your time working. The internet is stellar. Like, honestly, just about anywhere we went, the internet was good. The mobile internet in Poland was relatively good as well. So we really enjoyed our time staying there and being able to enjoy it. Unfortunately, when we stayed in Krakow, it wasn't really snowing as much as we hoped. But Krakow is very close to the Polish mountains as well, which is where we went to afterwards and being able to enjoy some of that beautiful snow as well. So all in all, Krakow, incredible place with a really cool vibe, almost being very hip and sort of, modern in that sense. Plenty of places to visit, loads of history to discover. Also very, very affordable, great internet. Absolutely love my time staying there. Number 4. Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Another city I got to live for just about a year. very well known amongst the digital nomad community. Plenty of co-working spaces. We used to joke that every week there's a new co-working space appearing, honestly. And they create really cool communities amongst the people who come and live there for long or for short. So there's always something to do. There's always new people you can meet. There's always some event, talk, meetup, whatever else that you can go to and just, network with digital nomads, with locals, with whoever attends these, right? Absolutely loved living in Las Palmas. Maybe not so much because there was a lot of culinary experiences that you could go through, yet sure, there was a number of cool bars and restaurants you could go to, but definitely that wasn't the highlight and spotlight of that city. But the fact that you've got access to 2 beaches, one of them being enormously long, a surfing area, just plenty of nature surrounding the city itself, and you're living on an island located just off the coast of Africa that is still part of the European Union. Obviously, it's also Spanish. What that means is that living there involves constant good weather. It has really weird microclimates. It doesn't really go above 24, 26 degrees for the most of the year, but also it doesn't really fall below something like 18, 20 degrees either. So what that means is that you constantly are enjoying very moderate and kind of temperate climate, which can be very nice. Surprisingly though, the summer in Las Palmas, or in Gran Canaria in general, didn't quite fall during the summer months like it would in other places around Europe. So it wasn't in June, July, August, even September. These were quite mild and I would say rainy. But October, November, December were blazing hot, and we literally spent our days on the beach still in December, just days before we went back to Europe to celebrate Christmas, where it was freezing cold, obviously. So very interesting climate that may take a while to adapt to, but I love the fact that you didn't need heating, you didn't need aircon. It's just constantly nice to live there. Obviously, a key factor in living in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria is the fact that you are on the Isle of Gran Canaria. And before going there, we were having some doubts about whether living on an island like that wouldn't be too limiting, whether there'll be enough things to do. But oh my goodness, Gran Canaria is absolutely incredible. We would rent a car maybe once every 2 weeks and do some tour around the island with friends, alone. We'd pack our tents and kind of go hiking and visit just so many places, and the island is just incredible. Incredible. It's so pretty, with so many things to visit, so many things to see, so much history, so much nature. Just mind-blowing. Completely mind-blowing. Enjoyed every single time we had a chance to go out and explore some tiniest part of that beautiful piece of land. So living in Las Palmas also involves the fact that you're super close to exploring all of that beautiful nature that's surrounding you. Really, really, really recommended. Chiang Mai is a city that I probably know the least about. I've spent the least amount of time in that city out of that list, but it really stood out in its charm. It's a city located in the north of Thailand. It's quite well known amongst digital nomads and travelers, and we visited it during the Songkran festival, which is a New Year celebrated in many countries in Southeast Asia, including Thailand, during which you just have a massive water fight. Absolutely incredible. I made another video about it. I recommend you go and check it out. Thing is that the city itself, though, also serves as a really nice hub to be able to live, work, enjoy yourself for very, very low prices. Not to mention that, again, you are exposed to Thai cuisine, which, like I said, is delicious and super, super, super healthy. It's not very healthy. I shouldn't say it's healthy. It's super delicious. Let's stick with that. It's very sugary, but it's probably not very healthy. Thing is, though, that northern Thailand, and I think Chiang Mai is one of the stellar places where you can experience it, is home to, I think, one of the most delicious things I've ever tried in my life. Khao soi. Khao soi Khao soi. There's many ways to write it and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but it's a dish that's close to a Thai curry. It's a little bit different. It's served with these fried noodles. You just have to try it. It's so good. It's so good. Whenever I see it, wherever else in the world, I'm gonna order khao soi. Try it if you can. Super tasty. Chiang Mai itself is located in a valley between a number of hills and mountains. Unfortunately, we didn't get to experience too much of it because we were there during the burning period, so it wasn't that much of a picturesque scenario when you can't really see it far ahead. But from what people told us and from the pictures we saw, we also know that Chiang Mai is meant to be very picturesque, very pretty for doing all sorts of hikes and trips, etc., etc. But even though we didn't get to experience some of these things about Chiang Mai, we absolutely loved the city and its hospitality. It's also very affordable. Thai people are absolutely amazing to hang out with, and it's another great hub for digital nomads to go to. So Chiang Mai, another city that I really, really, really enjoyed staying in. Oxford. Yeah, I lived in Oxford for about a year. It was the first time I actually moved out of home, which is possibly why I enjoyed staying in Oxford so much. It was the first time I was exposed to the novelty of an adult life. But nonetheless, I still remember Oxford so dearly, and after I've moved from Oxford to a number of other British cities, I always compared it back to Oxford thinking that I enjoyed it a little bit more. It is a relatively small city. It's got a very nice old city centre. I mean, obviously you know this. There is Oxford University just about everywhere in the old town. Loads of old architecture, old places you can visit, really cool bars, restaurants, pubs that you can go and spend time in. It's got, I think it captures the spirits of what Britain is about to some degree. Some of Britain. It captures it really well. And to me, it felt very, very authentic in doing so. I made loads of really good friends in Oxford and still remember these days very, very dearly. I'm sure that if you give it a shot, you won't be disappointed either. It's only about 2 hours drive from London, and there's a number of bus services that can take you there. And actually, now speaking about Oxford, it would be a shame not to mention London at all, a city in which I also lived in for quite a good while, and I also enjoyed a ton. But the reason why it didn't make it to my list is that there was a number of things I didn't like London for, and right now, no money would make me return to London and live there again. Even though, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, there are just a few things that don't match other places. But yeah, Oxford, it's a cool little town, city, and I absolutely enjoyed the time I was living there. And finally, the last item on my list, I don't think you could call it a city, not even a town, because Koh Tao is an island. Very, very small. And it is one of the 3 islands that are very popular of the, I think, southeast coast of Thailand, if you could say that. 2 neighboring islands being Koh Phangan, very well known for its full moon parties, and Koh Samui, which is also extremely popular as a kind of holiday destination. It saddens me that a lot of people go to Koh Samui and they do not visit Koh Phangan or Koh Tao, and amongst people who go to Koh Samui and Koh Phangan, a lot of them still will not visit Koh Tao. It being the smallest, it's often kind of neglected and omitted, but out of the 3 that we lived in and spent some time on, Koh Tao is definitely a winner. Surprisingly, being a tiny, tiny island, it has an incredibly well-developed infrastructure for a tiny island, that is. There's plenty of cool restaurants, bars, coffee shops to work from. The internet is excellent. It's so good. Even mobile internet, just outstanding. Compared to many other places I've visited, many other cities, that tiny island has much better internet, frankly. So it was an excellent place to live in, to spend time in, to work in, and frankly, we went to Koh Tao to be able to get our diving licenses. So needless to say, Koh Tao is one of the most popular destinations in Southeast Asia for diving. Its underwater sides are absolutely incredible. And I am so glad that we decided to go there and do our diving courses there. The community of divers on Koh Tao is fascinating. Very interestingly, there's a ton of Spanish people both living and going to Koh Tao for some reason. So as we were walking down the streets of Koh Tao, we could hear like local street vendors, Thai street vendors, like playing Spanish songs, like Latin songs, or like they would speak to us in like their basic Spanish. It was very strange. But the town, the isle itself, beautiful, beautiful. It's so small, you can make it from the north to south in about 8 minutes on a scooter. In the times you're not diving, you can rent out snorkeling equipment and just go to different little beaches and do a little bit of snorkeling and enjoy time with the turtles, with the stingrays, with just coral and the fishes, and it's just breathtaking. If you ever consider going to Koh Samui or Koh Phangan, God, please visit Koh Tao. It is so cool. So yeah, despite not being a city, Koh Tao definitely makes it on my list of places I absolutely enjoyed. Well recommended. That's kind of it, but I'm aware that this list is incomplete. I kind of struggled to put together a complete list, and I kept on thinking about adding extra items onto it because there are so many more cities that I enjoyed staying in or living in. But I try to focus on those that are mostly positive, that I don't have any negative memories from, which is why the list kind of came down to these 7 cities that I absolutely love and enjoy. If I could recommend you to go and visit any city around the world and you care about things such as the culture, the cuisine, places to visit, the speed of the internet, the quality of life, the accessibility to nature, then I would say go and visit one of these 7 cities, places, towns, whatever. You get it.